Now those who he had sent out to watch the camp of the Amalekites were called Zeram and Amnor and Mentai and Limher. These were they who went out with their men to watch the camp of the Amalekites. And it came to pass that on the morrow they returned into the camp of the Nephites in great haste, being greatly astonished and struck with much fear, saying, Behold, we follow the camp of the Amalekites, and to our great astonishment in the land of Minion, above or Minon, above the land of Zarahemla, in the course of the land of Nephi, we saw a numerous host of the Lamanites. And behold, the Amalekites have joined them, and they are upon our brethren in that land, and they are fleeing before them with their flocks and their wives and their children towards our city. And except we make haste, they obtain possession of our city, and our fathers and our lives and our children be slain. And it came to pass that the people of Nephi took their tents and departed out of the valley of Gideon toward their city, which was the city of Zarahemla. And behold, as they were crossing this river Sidon, the Lamanites and the Amalekites, being as numerous almost as it were as the sands of the sea, came upon them to destroy them. Nevertheless, the Nephites, being strengthened by the hand of the Lord, having prayed mightily to him that he would deliver them out of the hands of their enemies, therefore the Lord did hear their cries and did strengthen them, and the Lamanites and the Amalekites did fall before them. And it came to pass that Alma fought with Amalek with the sword face to face, and they did contend mightily one with another. And it came to pass that Alma, being a man of God, being exercised with much faith, cried, saying, O Lord, have mercy and spare my life, that I may be an instrument in thy hands to save and preserve this people. Now when Alma had said these words, he contended again with Amalek, and he was strengthened, insomuch that he slew Amalek with the sword. And he also contended with the king of the Lamanites. But the king of the Lamanites fled back from before Alma, and sent his guards to contend with Alma. But Alma with his guards contended with the guards of the king of the Lamanites until he slew and drove them back. And thus he cleared the ground, or rather the bank, which was on the west of the river Sidon, throwing the bodies of the Lamanites who had been slain into the waters of Sidon, that thereby his people might have room to cross and contend with the Lamanites and the Amalekites on the west side of the river Sidon. And it came to pass that when they had all crossed the river Sidon, that the Lamanites and the Amalekites began to flee before them, notwithstanding they were so numerous that they could not be numbered. And they fled before the Nephites toward the wilderness, which was west and north, away beyond the borders of the land. And the Nephites did pursue them with their might, and did slay them. Yea, they were met on every hand, and slain and driven, until they were scattered on the west and on the north, until they had reached the wilderness which was called Hermont's. And it was that part of the wilderness which was infested by wild and ravenous beasts. And it came to pass that many died in the wilderness of their wounds, and were devoured by those beasts, and also the vultures of the air, and their bones have been found, and have been heaped up on the earth. Alma chapter 3. The Amalekites had marked themselves according to the prophetic word. The Lamanites had been cursed for their rebellion, men bringing their own curses upon themselves. The Nephites defeat another Lamanite army, about 87 to 86 BC. And it came to pass that the Nephites who were not slain by the weapons of war, after having buried those who had been slain, now the number of the slain were not numbered, because of the greatness of their number, after they had finished burying their dead, they all returned to their lands, and to their houses, and to their wives and their children. Now many women and children had been slain with the sword, and also many of their flocks and their herds, and also many of their fields of grain were destroyed, for they were trodden down by the hosts of men. And now, as many of the Lamanites and the Amalekites who had been slain upon the bank of the river Sidon were cast into the waters of Sidon, and behold, their bones are in the depths of the sea, and they are many. And the Amalekites were distinguished from the Nephites, for they had marked themselves with red in their foreheads, after the manner of the Lamanites. Nevertheless, they had not shorn their heads like unto the Lamanites. Now the heads of the Lamanites were shorn, and they were naked, save it were skin which was girded about their loins, and also their armor which was girded about them, and their bows and their arrows and their stones and their slings, and so forth.